Hey everyone, so we are back for the next round of Sweetrobin's fanfiction project. So Lane 2 turned out very well considering all of the storylines and characters that we needed to bring together, and the long length of the thing. Hopefully most chapters won't be this long and complicated. But again, thank you to everyone, the contributors, the editors, the readers. So the next chapter I want to tackle is Hotah 2. Yes, it seems weird to go back to Areo Hotah already, but it has to do with the timeline. In the Arion sample chapter, she thinks that Hotah's crew would be making it to High Hermitage pretty soon, so I wanted to have this event be around the first day of winter. The title I have right now for the chapter is the Emissary. However, Emissary is rarely used as a term in Ice and Fire, so maybe the Envoy might be a better title. I haven't decided. Call the chapter your preference. We're looking for something shorter, maybe 4,000 to 6,000 words. So this chapter is much smaller in scale and more intimate than other chapters have been. There are only a handful of characters, and the heart of the chapter is simply Hotah treating with Darkstar. It's for the most part two men having a conversation. It's a parallel to Jamie 6, A Feast for Crows, when Jamie speaks with Blackfish. Remember, Hotah chapters are generally dialogue chapters, so the conversation must be really gripping and entertaining, despite Hotah being a simple man of few words. So I'd like to begin the chapter with the party arriving at Darkstar's castle of High Hermitage. As a hermitage is literally a home for hermits, this parallels Bran's arrival at the Cave of the Three-Eyed Crow a bit, which also parallels Brienne arriving at the inn at the crossroads. The situation for Hotah's crew is not good. As you may remember, the Prince's Justice ended with 80 or so Dornish sneak attacking the 20 or so Lannisters that were in the party when they were drunk. Well, that didn't go as well as Obara thought it would. The Lannister men were some of the best fighters in the world, tasked with bringing home a princess. Even drunk and taken unawares, they fought very well. Sir Tanton slew 4 spearmen before being killed, Sir Merlin 5. Even the 2 elder Slint boys each killed a man before being slain. The Scrape Sword slew 3 men before the Knight of Lemonwood knocked his sword from his hand. The knight escaped into the desert on foot and was not found, though his scabbard was, abandoned likely because it sparkled in the moonlight. As they were days from anywhere, he was left to die of thirst in the desert. The Knight of Lemonwood now wears the Scrape Sword's jangling sword and scabbard as a trophy. Altogether, the Dornish lost 30 men, with another 10 injured, leaving them only 40 able-bodied men. Worst of all, Obara Sand is not doing well. When she broke her ribs, some organs were punctured or something. The men are actually clueless what exactly is wrong. She's been screaming in pain for days, but insists that they continue on, rather than returning to Sandstone. In practice, the Knight of Lemonwood has taken command of the party. And so the crew approaches High Hermitage. They are 50 men with 100 horses, an odd sight. Hotah rides Balon's old mount, which is an incredibly nice sand steed given to Balon by Doran Martell. It's the finest horse that Hotah has ever sat upon, and give the horse a good name. Scouts are seen spotting them, and when they make it to the small keep, a little girl is waiting for them. At first, Hotah mistakes the girl for Myrcella, but then realizes that it's just a random common servant girl with huge eyes and tangled hair. Give the girl any name you like, but if you can't think of anything, Tansy will suit. It's clear to Hotah that she was sent out as Darkstar wanted to make sure that every able-bodied man was inside ready to defend the keep. Sir Desiel will tell the girl that they are here to bring Gerald Dane to justice for the murder of Aerys Oakheart and the attack on Princess Myrcella, and that they demand that Darkstar surrender. The girl says that she was told to tell them that Sir Gerald is willing to treat on the morrow, though he will not speak with a Dalt. And so, with Obara incapable and Dalt refused, in the morning Hotah arrives at the drawbridge on his horse with archers fixed on him, and Darkstar rides out to speak. And so they will have a long conversation, and much of this conversation is up to you. House Dane is largely unexplored, so include anything you like about what's going on with them and their history. If you want, you can try to include stuff about Ashara or Arthur or Ned's visit to Starfall. You can talk about who is Darkstar, how there came to be a cadet branch, who the Sword of the Morning is, what the hell that position means, where is Dawn. The sky's the limit if you can work it in. But remember, it has to be interesting, dark, unexpected, George R. Martin-like kind of stuff. But of course, the meat of the conversation is Darkstar and Hotah's negotiation. Remember, Darkstar needs to be a clever and biting man, but feel free to give him a few cringy, arrogant lines where he tries to sound like a badass. What needs to be included is that Darkstar claims that High Hermitage can certainly fend off an assault of 50 men. With 100, perhaps they would have had a chance, but not 50. Hotah will mention that more men can be called from Blackmont, and Darkstar will counter that he can bring men from Starfall. Darkstar will claim that he and Illyria Dane, who control Starfall right now, have been in communication, and that his cousin will do as he bids. Illyria is betrothed to Lord Dondarrion and is already unhappy that Anders Ironwood's host is in the Boneway, ready to destroy her future home. If Hotah's men attack, Darkstar threatens to loose a raven to Illyria, who will then send a message to the Dane army in the Prince's Pass to do as he wills. He can have them attack Lord Fowler and kill thousands of people if he wants. It's nothing to him, and Hotah will lament that the only archer who was skilled enough to take down a raven was Balon Swan. Hotah will explain that he does not want war, only justice for the man who maimed Princess Myrcella. And Darkstar will scoff and say the girl was no princess, and ask Hotah whose eyes saw him cut the girl. Hotah will of course have no answer, and Darkstar would say that true justice follows the scent of a rotten lemon. Darkstar would then say that he is unsure what Doran's game is, but that he and Hotah both know who killed Ares Oakheart. He finds it odd that Sir Desiel did not. He also wonders why 50 men have 100 horses. He says that it's strange that Blackhaven reported that Sir Balon Swan came south, but is yet to return north. Darkstar claims that he has been framed, and that he is a patsy, and he wonders who else will be made a patsy. Darkstar will then say that Illyria Dane received word from a man named John Connington, wanting the support of House Dane against the crown, so that Elia Martell's son can sit the Iron Throne. Connington wants the men of Blackhaven to stand down and open their gates to him. As Illyria's sister Ashara trusted the man deeply, Illyria was ready to send a message to the Castellan of Blackhaven to welcome in the Lost Lord's men. But then, a white raven came yesterday telling her to beware John, so now she does not know what to do. He will mention that a similar raven came to his castle saying the same thing. It occurred to Darkstar that should John Connington win, Doran could claim to be a faithful ally to his new nephew King. His dullard daughter Ariane would likely become queen. But should he lose, well, Doran Martell could blame the folly on House Dane, that the Danes misled his armies and acted without his leave. After all, who would trust a Dane when a Dane cut poor Princess Myrcella and apparently took the lives of 2 Kingsguard? Hotah does not know what to say, as what Darkstar said does sound like Doran Martell. And then Darkstar makes new demands. He demands that Lady Obara and the rest of the Dornishmen return to Sunspear on the morrow, and that Hotah will surrender himself for the murder of Ares Oakheart, and Sir Desiel Dalt will surrender himself for his brother's crime of attacking Myrcella. They will be his prisoners. If they refuse, Darkstar promises to send a raven, not to his cousin, but to the kings, both Tommen and this new Aegon, letting them know of Doran's treachery. Hotah then returns to camp and tells Obara of what was discussed. Obara grunts that Darkstar is lying and bluffing. He doesn't have the men to hold the castle, nor the ravens to send messages. She orders Hotah to ready the men for an assault on the morrow. Hotah spends the evening thinking of the men who have died, and of the men who will die on the morrow. He thinks of Ares Oakheart, and Balon Swan, and Danos Slint, and the thousands who will die if Darkstar releases those ravens. He thinks about Doran's treachery, but also thinks about his responsibility to protect him and Ariane. He made a promise to Ariane's mother. In the morning, Obara Sand is dead. We don't know how she dies. The Dornishmen pack up and return to Sunspear. Sir Desiel and Areo Hotah ride to High Hermitage and surrender. 2 men come out and disarm Areo and Desiel, and then they're escorted into the castle where they discover that Darkstar was in fact bluffing. He only had 8 men and no ravens other than the white one. Darkstar reveals that his cousin Illyria actually hates him and refused to send help when he sent a rider. Almost everything he spoke of with regards to Blackhaven, he made up, though his rider did hear of John Connington's invasion while at Starfall, so that much is true. Hotah then asks if he lied about Andre Dalt slashing the girl in the desert. Darkstar says he didn't see, but whether it was Andre Dalt or Silver Santigar makes little difference to him. Hotah then asks where is the real Princess Myrcella, and Darkstar replies, how in 7 hells would I know? Hotah then has one final question. Where do septas go? And that's where we'll leave things. Anyway, good luck with writing, and we'll see you next time.